Hello everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live. We'll get started. We would, of course, like to acknowledge the traditional owners who live, create, and learn on today, paying respects to others past, present, emerging. I'm Johanna, and I'm here with a wonderful craft-based designer, Palaskas. Kit, how are you doing today?
I'm well. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
It's a great holiday if you love pink, red, tacky decorations, chocolate, heart-shaped things, which I think you do, judging by your earrings, Johan.
Absolutely. Yeah, I did bring out the big one chat can see, but they are humongous, and also got this new tinsel t-shirt jumper out at Christmas. But for it's worthy to come up.
Red and pink is my favorite color combination, so this is exciting what we're wearing here. We did not plan this.
No, audience, this at all. And speaking of audience, hello again, who's our mod for today, and Alessandra, lovely to see you. Are experiencing some few technical issue. If we can fix that lag, the Rosellas must be at our internet cable. I think for the time being, we will soldier on and do that by looking at your new website, Kip.
Yes, I'm so excited to share it with you. I'm going to jump over into it right now. I wanted to show this to you, one, because it's brand new and I just want to show it off, but also because I have some examples of the kinds of work that I was hoping to showcase and show you my process of it. This is my new website, kitiyapalaskas.com. Feel free to jump on after the stream and have a look. But mainly today, I just wanted to just show you a little sneak in a portfolio, in particular the illustration section. So if you are new to my work and you don't know about me, I'm a craft-based designer. I specialize in creating props, installations, illustrations, and digital content for brands all over the world. And I have a design studio here called Kitiya Palaskas Studio, and yes, we work primarily with handmade techniques, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. Craft is something that I've always do. As you can see through these examples, even though the outcomes might be digital, everything that I create sort of comes from a place of handmade. So my hands have actually cut it, glued, and things like that. So I just wanted to draw your attention to this artwork. This is an EP cover for band Bloods, who are a Sydney band. I designed this in 2020, and I use felt and paper a lot in a collage-y kind of way, as you can see with these other examples here. And everything starts off as a handmade kind of piece, and then I might bring it into Photoshop, into Illustrator, sometimes to kind of digitize certain elements of it, or to kind of like edit elements of it, but it always starts from a handmade place. So this particular artwork here is something that I kind of wanted to like do some similar things with today to show you my process of how I might prepare the different hand cut elements, create a composite that ends up being digital. So in today's stream, we are going to look at my process from like hand cut through to like ready to use digital asset. And then in tomorrow's stream, if you like the look of that, I'm actually going to be showing you how I create digital assets for my own brand marketing using Adobe Express, and how I can bring in handmade elements that I've created to give those digital assets some Kitiya Palaskas flair, and show you how you can do a similar thing in your. So that's basically what we're going to be doing. What is that? I hope that sounds good to you.
Yes, that's a treat. Like a box of chocolates, for sure.
Like a heart-shaped box of chocolates.
Exactly.
So I might jump into Photoshop now and just show you. So basically here up on screen, I have, actually, let me just show you this first. So this is like, you might have seen this on the event promo tiles. This is kind of like a felt collage that I created using a variety of hand cut elements that I then sort of like brought into Photoshop and prepped and added some texture, added some shadow to create this little image here. So everything kind of starts off as a photo that I have taken either like on a camera or on a phone of like a hand cut felt piece. So this is what we have here. I'm also working with Creative Cloud libraries to store all of my, as you can see on the right hand side, all of my various graphic elements that I'm going to be sort of like working with today. I really like to organize my files in Creative Cloud libraries, especially if I'm working on things with other people. I just think it's just so much easier to have them all there. So I've put a whole bunch of different things at various stages of completion in here, and we're going to sort of like play around with some of them today.
Excellent.
So yeah, I guess I'll just get started while we chat. So I just pulled this on my phone. A lot of the time, I do just take pictures of the stuff on my phone. I mean, sometimes it's not the best. As you can see, there's a bit of blurring because, you know, like maybe the lighting's bad or whatever, but we can fix all of this in the editing process. If I want something sort of like super crisp, I'll take a high res image of it on my digital camera. But for the purposes of today's exercise, I guess I just wanted to show you that you can create really textural, cool things, even if you don't have a digital camera and you just have a phone. So
excellent.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and...
Very much. Oh, you go.
I was just going to say, while we chat, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the background of this while we talk.
Fantastic. And of course, chat, if you have any questions or Valentine's cards to send us today, you can either on Behance or on YouTube. We will do our best to answer questions. And we have, first of all, happy Valentine's Day from Alessandra in the chat. Stay again.
Oh,
hello. And
happy Valentine's Day.
Question: is that an actual big pencil? There's much love for your creative space in the background.
What did you say? Is that a big pencil?
Yes.
It sure is. It is a big pencil. It's, I don't know if you can, I'm going to try and give you a little, like, I don't know if you can see this, everyone, but it's a giant pencil. It's my pride and joy. I love it so much. Yeah, it's amazing. I just actually want to
incredible.
I
did notice on your new redone and published website, which congratulations on that the pink and red combo. So it's tried and true and for today.
Yes, it's my brand colors. Oh, I don't know what's happening here. Hold on, let me just get rid of this. Yeah, it's my brand colors. I love them. I use them in everything. It's kind of more of an orange, but yeah, like it sort of like works as well. What am I trying to do here? Okay, here we go. So, Johanna, I know you're really into craft as well. What is your favorite kind of craft of the moment?
Of the moment, well, actually, since my partner won't be watching this just yet, I can show you. But I bought a bottle here that kind of looks a little love heart shaped. And what I plan to do as my Valentine's Day is transform it into some kind of romantic or something like that. So at the moment, I love repurposing, I guess, glitzing up found object, new and wonderful things.
I love that. I love upcycling. I mean, we're really like big on sustainability here at the studio. So we try to kind of like upcycle and reuse things like wherever we can. You know, I just have like, I'm a hoarder kind of. I don't like to throw anything away. So I have a lot of like felt scraps and things like that, just like lying around downstairs in my studio.
Can very much relate to that. I was sort of the stream that this is partly why I very strategically just my angle a little bit, because I've got a couple of craft at my cabinet space over here, but I can show you now. This might be a little bit too trippy for the stream, but of a finished project or something that I've done recently is actually that I have put these sort of bonbons. I don't know how exactly what you could. And there you can see a poster that I have on my wall, as well as what I love to do.
I love it. I just wanted to show you this, like, super up close. You can see that some of this is out of focus, but that won't really matter when we kind of like when we add some texture over the top. But I don't like to clean things up like too much. Like, so there's a few little bits here that you can see that are sort of like sticking out. I guess I could sort of like erase those or cut them down, but I don't want to, because I still want it to look really handmade, even though we are going through like this big process of cleaning stuff up. But things like this, like sometimes there's fibers that go through, or like cat hair, dare I say. This is a fiber, it's not a cat hair. So I like to use the healing tool to just sort of like, I don't know, just do a little bit of cleanup, but not too much, because we don't want to lose like the character of the fabric. Because otherwise, you could just create things digitally if you want it to be super perfect, but we don't. I also before just like used a few different color tools to just make the color a little bit more brown. This is something that I feel really strongly about, like being a brown artist. I always want the hands and skin tone that's represented in anything that I do to be also brown, just to reflect kind of like who I am as the artist. There was a time where I guess like in a lot of the illustration, maybe not so much now, but kind of when I started working with paper and fabric, I didn't really see a lot of similar work that represented like a diverse range of skin tones. So I like to kind of try and make like brown, I guess. All right, so I want to add like a little bit of I guess texture to this. So I usually go with, I know there's lots of different ways that you can sort of add texture to things. This is a really simple one that I sort of start with. If any of you have any other suggestions of like what I could try, let me know. But I kind of like to use the add noise feature, because I think it actually replicates the texture of felt really well. Like, can you see that? It's sort of
now that you mention, it's actually just clicked in my brain that it does look. That's incredible.
Yeah, so I like that, because this is what I meant by, I always use now I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong. Gaussian? I don't know how to pronounce that. Adobe never
pronunciations of this, but I think Gaussian.
Gaussian, okay, yeah. So it's kind of what I was saying before about not worrying if a little bit of this is out of focus if you just took it on your phone, because now that I've added that noise, you can't really tell. Like, I think it just still looks really, really textural, and you can sort of play around with let's go back there. You can kind of play around with how much you put on, but I think like this very, very small percentage is enough to just give it a bit of texture without like making it look like that, obviously, because like I feel like with
you don't
this
want to overdo it.
Yeah, like with this tool, the more you add, the more like digital it like and warped it looks. So I only add a little bit, and then I kind of like to add shadow as well. So if you double click on, I guess, your file, you can add a drop shadow, and you can kind of, sorry, we want it to be, what do I want to do here? Yeah, we can add shadow if we, do I want to add shadow yet? Maybe I don't yet. Let's just leave it for now. I'll add it at the end, but I just want to, yeah, so then that's kind of like one element that's been cut out.
Mm-hmm.
I usually will just save this now as like a PNG, just at whatever size it happens to be at. I'm just going to put it on my desktop as hand.
While
So
you
that's
do
kind
that,
of,
I'll just
go on.
you go ahead.
No, you go ahead. No, you.
Oh well, I was gonna say, while you do that, just my partner who's in the chat, Michael, hello and happy.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, so while you were doing the bloom or the drop shadow, I was just saying a shout out to Michael who's in the chat. So hello and happy Valentine's Day. Chat, we are sadly dealing with a little bit of lag. We hope it's not too bad, because this too good.
I think it's coming and going, but we'll just do what we can. So now I want to reuse this. This is like, I actually took this photo on a felt piece that I had already, I just put it as one single thing, but I've done things before where I've put it on top of a different felt background, but I actually want to reuse this hand and create like more of a cutout element for it so that I can use it in my digital asset creation tomorrow in Adobe Express. So
excellent.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like roughly cut out the background, and then we're gonna go in and like just make it a little bit more like fine. I noticed sort of. You go.
No, you go. It's your turn.
We're being very polite here. I kind of just like use Photoshop for, I guess, like photo editing. I haven't really used it much for like image creation, because I guess like the kinds of stuff that I do, it doesn't really I don't really like create images within Photoshop itself. I just sort of like get what I've already got. Obviously there's like loads of different ways that you can use it, but I always feel kind of like weird when I come on these streams because I'm like, I just use it for editing.
I think that's the wonderful thing about Photoshop is that it has so many uses. I mean, you can draw in it, you can edit photos, you can. I don't think you should be too worried about just focusing on one of the capabilities.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's such a huge program.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I feel like I've only just scratched the surface, and I've been using it for like 10 years. There's so much stuff
I think
to do.
anyone who uses Photoshop on any regular basis will probably more often than not, each time we film the show, we all learn something new. So it's full of secret new things to discover, which is partly exciting.
And I think too, like a really good way to learn if you haven't really used it much before is to just like to use it on a project basis, like figure out, okay, or this is the same for like any Adobe program really, is like, okay, what do I want to do today? I want to learn how to like cut out a fabric thing. So then I'm going to, sort of like go and try and practice that and learn how I might do that. But yeah, that's kind of how I learned. Because if you try and, I remember when I first started using these programs, I like would go through, I think it was even like the era of there being like an actual manual that you, like a physical manual.
Yes, I remember those.
I would go through the whole thing and like try and read it from cover to cover, like from start to finish. And then I would always end up after like one chapter being like, okay, it's like too overwhelming. It feels like there's too much to do, and then I'd give it up. So when I started learning based on like the tasks I needed to actually complete for the project I was working on, it was a lot easier. So this part
is how you learn. I was gonna say, would you say learn sort of anything creative, like work based, creatively based, using it very specific deliverables as opposed to, right, reading a lot or reading a book about it. It's more in like real life scenarios that helps you.
Yeah, like learning on the job, I think, and that's kind of I guess the same for my career. I don't really like craft-based design isn't really a thing that you can learn at uni. So yeah, like I messed that up. I'm so bad at magnetic selecting, but I often have to do it. Yeah, like it's not really something that I learned at uni. There isn't really like a uni course to be a craft-based designer. So everything that I've learned about how to run a business in this particular niche, I learned through doing on the job and through making mistakes, so many mistakes. But I think it's sort of the best way to learn. And I always say that, like once you make a mistake, and if you make it in front of a client, or if it's sort of like, other people know about it, you are going to make sure that you learn how to do that thing that
you'll never make that mistake ever again.
There's just no way that you're going to you'll be so, I don't know, humiliated. You're like, all right.
Mental scars, just no, never again.
Just went rogue. I'm also trying to do this with a mouse. Everybody always makes fun of me because they're like, why don't you just use a pad? I don't know. I've got my ways. They're not efficient, but everything I do is really, really I guess the handmade process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably not an efficient way to do things, but here we are.
Yeah, it works. And it isn't necessarily a wrong way to do something with work, because everyone's approach is different, because the way that people traditionally is different. But it is very, I don't know, admirable isn't the right word, but it's impressive, I should say. You can do all this with just a mouse, because I don't know if I would be able to.
What do you use? Do you use a trackpad? I mean, what's it called?
I use a tablet mainly, but also I would, in Photoshop, I do illustration work. So mine's a little bit different, but I did for time use a mouse to draw. But then I think some birthday I got my first tablet, and
you've never looked back.
No, I mean, if worst comes to worst, I will use a mouse if I really just need. But I'm very happy with either a Wacom tablet or most of the time now it's my iPad. So that's where I'm the most comfortable.
That's cool. I mean, maybe I need to give it a go. It just I guess, yeah, I should actually probably give it a go. I think I've even got one that I could probably try, but I don't know.
I reckon give it a go for fun.
Yeah, I will. There's something weird about me that I always do things the hard way. I don't know why that is, but yes, it's just me. So once this is somewhat cut out, I think this is workable for me, because I'm going to once it's on a background and there's other stuff going on, I it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. But it's sort of done enough, in terms of being cut out, that I'm happy with it. I'm all, I think that there's certain things where I will spend a lot of time getting something really perfect. But I also am trying to let go of perfectionism as something that is constantly in every single thing that I do, because it does tend to, I guess, not hold me back, but do get hyper fixated on things looking perfect. And I can, I think creatives will know you can kind of beat yourself up if something isn't the way you expected it to be, or the way you've seen somebody else do it. And you can actually sabotage yourself by just, I think there's that saying, done is better than perfect. And,
oh yes, I know that one. Recovering perfectionist.
Yeah, I try to just pick my battles when it comes to fine detail and things like that. If I can sort of get away with something, I'm not saying I'm not careful about things, but if it's not 100% perfect, I don't think that matters. It just sort of adds charm. But then there's certain things in the design process, that you want to be like done with a high level of like quality or detail, in which case, yes, then you'll do it in a different way. But for something like this is just fun, and I like to try and practice being a little bit more free with my creativity so that I can, not fall into that perfectionism trap.
And I think that's something that handmade crafts also sort of do, is like you've made it with your hands. It's not going to be perfect. You might even, and I know when I make stuff with my hand, sometimes I'll even to try to make it as imperfect, do the flip side as possible. Like I will deliberately, if I'm cutting paper, I'll cut it really wonky, or line. I won't be too careful about it being a perfect, consistent line. Handmade stuff, or the sort of DIY as well, really lends itself to just being more about expressing the idea or expressing yourself creatively, as opposed to creating first class polished products.
Yes, because I think there is like a type of design that lends itself really well to a polished product, and it's not craft. I mean, craft can be polished, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, like, the joy about crafted items to me, or crafted artworks to me, is the imperfections. And like I guess the sort of personality of the maker coming through, or you can kind of see a little bit of the journey of how it might have got there, and I really like that.
Absolutely. Would you say that to make a comparison of more refined craft work, would you say that comparing that you do with the more craft-based stuff that you do, that is a good kind of example of more near perfect, very refined, versus very, very, very...
Yeah, I think like client work, obviously I spend a lot more time sort of getting the details right. It's really interesting though, like if it's something that's going into a physical space, like a photo shoot or an event, I'm obviously going to be really particular about like the final outcome and what it looks like and how perfect it is, and it has to look perfect from all angles and things like that. But if it's something like content creation that I'm creating for a client within my studio, a lot of the time, like, time is of the essence for jobs like that. So for example, this is a like studio secret. I don't do this all the time. Like, if I'm creating, let's just say, like an artwork or a DIY project or something, I might not do the back. I might just do the front. And then the back is unfinished and I'll finish it later. And then the front is perfect, but the back is just like a work in progress.
Amazing.
Nobody really knows. Now the whole internet knows that. But yeah.
But they won't know the difference. Is this the one that's just the front, or is this the one that's just the front? So you're still safe.
Yeah, you'll never know. But also, I don't like to make things. With that being said, like, I'll always finish it afterwards. I don't like to make things in the content creation world that don't get finished, because I find that to be like, it just basically becomes landfill. If you've created something that just sort of was for the purpose of the content and doesn't get used for anything afterwards, like, that's like, I don't like that, it's a waste.
Well, speaking,
yeah,
I was going to say, speaking on that, and this is, I mentioned before the stream that I really wanted to talk to you about, is you started a program at the studio where you repurpose and find new uses for the material scraps that you can't reuse after a project is done. Do you want to talk through that came to be?
Yeah, okay. Well, we definitely, like, noticed that our industry can be like really wasteful. So the craft industry, there's so many different like materials, there's so many like different things that you might use like on a regular basis for, you know, like we just have a lot of stuff basically. Crafters have a lot of stuff. And so I kind of just realized when I was working with clients that there would be all these times where, you know, there would be a lot of excess material left over after a shoot, or there would be, you know, you'd have to order stuff because we order a lot from wholesalers here. So you'd have to order stuff in bulk if you want to get it, you know, we're always thinking about cost efficiency as well, because we are a business, and, you know, your client, you do want to provide your client with the most, like, I guess, high value output, but you want to consider their budget too. And so if we order things wholesale, we can usually get things for a lot cheaper, but you often have to buy, you know, in bulk. So we were ending up with a lot of excess materials after projects, but also when I first started out, I guess for me personally, sustainability wasn't, I'll be quite honest with you, like a huge consideration in my personal life or in my business life. I was young. I sort of didn't have as much life experience. And I guess like my values as a 21-year-old or a 23-year-old or, you know, a younger person were a lot different to what they are today. And I think that's okay, because we all just learn through life experience. So I wasn't really, you know, I would make things with, for example, like glitter or, you know, more plastic based or non-biodegradable or, you know, more man-made sort of things. And I wouldn't really think twice about it. And, you know, I would wash my acrylic paint down the sink and things like that. I just didn't know. And as I kind of like grew up, I guess, and started thinking more about the planet and like my impact on it, I realized that like I made some changes in my personal life, but I also realized that I had to reflect them in my business too, if those were becoming my values. And so I started thinking about the kinds of materials I work with clients. We've always used a lot of paper and cardboard, so that's obviously a recyclable material, but sometimes we'll have to use things that, like, for example, core flute, which is a substrate that's made of plastic, and obviously not biodegradable, but it's what you'd see, like, for example, election posters printed on. Like, you know, it's waterproof, it's you know, good for outdoor things, and it's very, very durable, and you can digitally print on it. So that's something that like a lot of my clients really enjoy or really need to use if print is involved. So, you know, we can't avoid like certain types of materials altogether, but we can make sure that there's that we're responsible for like closing the loop on the design process from start to finish. So when we hand over the props or whatever it is at the end, we need to have a kind of like plan for where things are going to go. So it's sort of our responsibility, I feel, as designers, to also come up with a sort of like waste management solution for the item afterwards. So whether it be the client keeps it and puts it up in their offices, or whether it be that thing that might not be biodegradable or recyclable is given to a childcare centre or is reused for a different project or something like that. So that's kind of where our recycling program came about. It was us trying to find a way to close the loop on the design process, and not just sort of like walk away after the props have been delivered and be like, okay, bye, like do whatever you want with them. I just don't think that's responsible. No. If I want to be creating this kind of stuff for the rest of my career, which I really do, I mean, I love it, I need to make sure that I am being, like a responsible designer in that way. That's just a personal ethic that I have. So now we have a collection of partners that are sort of community-based partners, whether it be stuff like childcare centres or maybe even like medical centres, hospitals, charities, things like that, that we can call upon if the client chooses that they don't want to keep it and use it for their own purposes. Maybe they want to donate. Then we can kind of like get in touch with these people and say, hey, we've got a giant pencil prop. Do you want it for your after school care office or whatever? And so it's small. This is a sort of small and very like hands-on recycling thing that we're doing. But it's just a way that we can make use of the either excess materials or the actual like objects themselves, and not feel like they're just going to get thrown in the bin.
Absolutely. So, and every way you can take it does make a difference. So I think and I hope that more craft-based or even and freelancers in general that they can implement themselves as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also about like having a conversation with the client at the beginning and just saying, hey, I know you're interested in getting this kind of thing created, but have you thought about maybe we could try doing it in cardboard instead, or we could try using upcycled materials instead. And it won't work for everything, but if there's an open line of communication there from the start to suggest alternative things, or to come with your with your response to the brief with those sustainable options in mind, then I think that's you're sort of like on a good track.
Absolutely. And now
perfect. We're still working on it. We still produce, we try to be as wasteless as possible, but you can't avoid it. But as long as you're sort of aware of it and making decisions with it in mind, I think you're off to a good start.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And Flynn was saying that we all get better and learn to do better as we go. Client is an opportunity to educate on how costly in the sense of materials can be. So it's great.
And you know what? I read this survey from, I think it was like a year or two ago now, and it was a survey about like Australian consumer behavior, and it said that like 83, I think it was, % of consumers expect the brands that they support or buy from or use the services of to be transparent about their sustainability practices. So it's an expectation. If you think about kind of like your consumer behavior as an individual, I expect to know sort of like where the things are made, what the sort of sustainability policies are of the brands that I support. So brands need to be transparent about that kind of stuff. And since I work with brands, like this is a way to help them be accountable for that.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of like greenwashing out there, and so if you can be as authentic and transparent as possible, then that's a really good thing as a brand.
Excellent. Well, speaking about creating stuff, we're seeing a digital collage from traditional media. You're still deep etching away this flower, still chugging.
I'm just adding like some noise to it. I think it just kind of like it softens it a bit. I'm going to save it now, and I'm just going to show you like what it might look like on like a textured background. We're just going to sort of like play around. This is a sort of very like editing and playing around kind of stream, and we'll see kind of like how we can bump up the background texture as well to sort of like I guess enhance the handmade feel of it, even though these are all now like digitized designs. So
Excellent.
Menu board. So I've got this other library called textures. Here it is. So these are all paper textures. You can buy textures online, but you can also, which I find really interesting, you can also take pictures of like textures around your studio, whether it be paper, wood, fabric. Like I love that, because anything can become a background texture for a digital artwork. It's really exciting to like experiment with I guess anything. You'll realize like everything can become fodder for your artworks when you start looking around. Like I've got a carpet out there that's like black and white checked carpet, I mean, that is actually a really cool background texture. Maybe after this, I'll go, oh, you guys get to see that folder. Maybe I'll go take a photo of it and use it for something.
Amazing.
So these are the little things that I've edited while we've been chatting. Just a few examples. So let's just put them, where are we? Oh my God, it's so small. I don't think it selected the right thing. Make it bigger. There we go. Ooh. So I just want to make my background, I think I want to change it to like a lighter blue. Or should we do a pink because it's Valentine's Day?
I think we might need to do a pink.
Yes, okay, fine. So you can this paper texture, I've got this paper in my studio, but you can make it like you can zoom in or out on it to make the actual like grains a lot bigger. Where are we?
And these paper textures, would you generally capture these with as much as high resolution as possible, or would you say?
Yeah, I would definitely use my camera to take photos of these. If you don't have a digital camera, you could purchase. There's a lot of different like stock. You could use Adobe stock, or to get your textures. There's lots of different sort of background things in Adobe Express, which we're going to look at as well. There are a lot of different backgrounds already in there that you can choose from. And if you sort of have a subscription to that, or if you've got the Creative Cloud subscription, then you access all of those. So there's lots of different ways you can do it. Yeah.
And just a heads up that we are just under 50 left of the stream today. So if anyone has any questions throughout the stream, or any about what we'll be doing tomorrow, let us know in the chat. We'll get to them before we have to say farewell.
So this is kind of like what it could look like. You could add a shadow to it if you wanted. I did just want to show you. I just wanted to, because next week, tomorrow we're going to be like looking at Adobe Express and sort of how we can create digital assets, and giving you a little bit of a tour about what Express is about. I just wanted to quickly show you Adobe Express and before we kind of like wrap up. I mean, I've shown you kind of like how I would prepare each of these images, but I just want to give you a little like overview of it so that we've got that out the way, so that tomorrow we can really get stuck into like making like some really amazing digital assets within there. So I'll give you like a little show and tell really quickly of that now. So
that sounds great. A bit of a sneak peek into tomorrow's stream. That sounds great.
Yeah. So I'm using the web application of Adobe Express, but you can also use the phone app, or you can use it on your tablet if you want as well. It just depends on like how you prefer to work. I like to work on the big screen on my computer, so I like to use the web app. But basically, if you're new to Express, it's really fun because it's actually just been sitting there in Creative Cloud, all of this stuff, amazing stuff that you can do in it. And I think that I think more and more people are starting to use it now, especially creative brands, because it's a really easy way to create all sorts of like different digital assets for your marketing, if you're a digital creator, for your YouTube videos, for your Instagram and things like that. I mean, as you can see here, I'm scrolling through. These are all templates that are available for you to like remix and add your own flair to. As you can see from the titles, there's all sorts of different things that you can create. So for anything from documents to actual graphics themselves, I use Adobe Express for the marketing assets for my brand. And also, if you are kind of like new to Creative Cloud and you don't necessarily, if you haven't quite started using like Photoshop or Illustrator or Premiere Pro even, for things yet to a huge extent. There's like not bite size. There's like, I guess they've taken the most kind of like used tools from those programs and like put them all in here in a way that's like really easy for you to use. So if you are new to it all, and even if you're not actually, there's just so many I guess like actions and tools that you can use to make things like so much faster for you. So you don't have to, you know, do a whole edit on Premiere Pro. You can just do the basics that you need to get the stuff out there within Express. So I might show you like some. We're opening up my projects folder here. I'm not sure what's in here. So
exciting.
You're seeing the inner workings of my Express Liz. Let's see what it is. So, okay, here's some good examples. So, like for example, I made this, let's open this up. I made this digital business card that I can bring up on my phone if I'm networking at an event. It's using paper collage. So you'll see kind of a sneak peek of some of the stuff we're going to be doing tomorrow in felt. Sorry, it's just loading. I'll just zoom out. My internet's a bit slow. While that loads, oh no, here we go. So basically, this is something that I might send to someone instead of having like a physical postcard or business card. And you can also replace, for example, I had a version of it that had a QR code, so I could bring it up on my phone.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, so someone could scan the QR code and then it would open up my website or open up a version of this that they could then, you know, save onto their phone so they had my details, you know, trying to be all high tech and stuff. So
yeah,
this is something I created from scratch, but I used like the fonts within Adobe plus sort of like the text layout options to create the, I guess, like the wording for it. But I brought in my own assets that I created, which is kind of what we were doing today. So let's go back. There's an area in here called the brands area, and this is really useful because you can upload all of your brand colors, you can upload your brand fonts, your logos, and everything like that. So when you want to use them, you can just like pop them in to your, I guess, like artboard with the click of a button. So it's really, really good because it means ready here for you, and then it'll automatically bring up, like, it'll suggest all your brand colors to you, which I think is awesome. And you can add more, and if you've got codes, you can just add them in. You can upload your own fonts, or you can use like all the Adobe fonts, which is really great. You have access to your Creative Cloud library within here as well, which is what I was working out of before. And another thing that I really like is that there's this scheduler now, a content scheduler, so you can actually do if you are a business brand using this, which, like I said, that's kind of what I use it for. You can actually work directly within here to schedule the assets that you've just created in Express straight onto your different social platforms. So it's all about, I guess, like streamlining the workflow.
Absolutely.
And you can create your own templates. So like here's some of the templates that I've made for a variety of different things. You can create your own templates and then share them with other people. So like if you have other people working on your team, you can share them, and those people can remix them really easily. So like, for example, let's use this one. It'll open it up. You can create from the various different templates that you've made, so then you can have a consistent look across all of your assets. And I think as a creative business, like, that's really important, because your visual identity and your brand is kind of like how people recognize you and how you know, they remember you. So you want to make sure that like everything that you create is very you in whatever way that is. And yes, that's why I like to incorporate handmade elements like in all of my assets, even if I do create them digitally or on Express, so that it still feels like me. So for example, like this is a story tile. It's just going to take its sweet time to load because of my internet. Here we go. This is a story tile, and the elements that I brought in are like I colored in with markers to create things that backgrounds that I then would, I guess, type on top of in a story. But there's this element of animated text here, and if I wanted to, you know, like for example, change it to my brand font, I could do that really easily and change the, you know, it can recommend fonts to you. You can add shadow, you can add outlines. We're going to really jump into that tomorrow, so I won't give you away too much of that right now. There's also like animation that you can do with text, so you don't necessarily need to be an After Effects pro to use animation in your assets, because, you know, everyone's talking about how video content is really what people are wanting to see these days. So just adding little elements of animation or movement to an otherwise still image can really sort of grab people's attention. And if you're trying to sort of market your business, then I guess that is really good for that. So that's just a little kind of example of some of the things we're going to be doing a deep dive into in Express tomorrow. I'm going to be sort of showing you like a few more little things that you can do with these assets, and then we're going to jump into Adobe Express and like really get stuck into creating like a little suite of Valentine's themed imagery that we could potentially use on our social media or across various different things. And I'll show you some print-based templates, and I'll also show you some digital templates. So
amazing. I can't wait to jump in. But speaking of social media, because we are actually, can people find you on the internet besides your new web to check out more of your work?
So I'm just at Kitiya Palaskas on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, actually. And Behance.
Oh my goodness, you're everywhere.
I managed to secure. I mean, luckily
tomorrow too.
Yeah, so you can find me on there. If you have any questions, or if I know we kind of like, hopefully you don't have any questions about what I did in Photoshop, because we just focus on like sort of one set of tools. But yeah, let me know. Send me a DM if you've got any questions.
Fantastic. Well, that does bring us to the time. Like we said, we'll have more fun with Kit. But thank you so much for joining us. It was really fun to just talk. You worked. And once again, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you celebrate with maybe some nice time. We're talking about tea just before the stream, but thank you everyone for joining. We will see you tomorrow. Happy Valentine's Day.
Bye.
Bye.